Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. 2 plus 2 equals 4. Two ladies and two men. The two men have been doing this forever, and the two ladies, well, they have their own gig going on anyways, called Chicks and Salsa. 3 chicks in a pod, and now they're on the famous Sports Exchange. And am I loud enough? No, I could get louder, but you know what? We're going to give you the fastest 30 minutes here in regular broadcast radio, whatever. All right. With that said, is Brandon Aiyuk coming or going? I don't know, but I'm going to introduce you to the panel. Candy Epling.
Hi, Scott. Great to be here.
And we got Jennifer Matthews Lewis. Great to see you up in Charlotte.
What up, Motor Mouth?
That's it.
Motor City Mad Mouth. I always shorten your name. I'm sorry, Scott.
No way. Are you kidding? I got a lot of money invested into that name. Seriously. I have to have my rant of the night. I have a lot of money in it, when it comes to trademarking. Candy doesn't know. George Eichhorn and I are the original founders of the show. Welcome back.
Hey, good to be part of 2 chicks and 2 guys.
Yeah, I'll be and we're the way where there's a will, there's a way. Bring them all, come in. A busy chat room it is. Fastest 30 minutes going, and here we go. Brandon Aiyuk, 49er and Steelers have a potential deal in place. Is he coming or is he going? I don't know. Jennifer Matthews Lewis, you tell me. I should add another footnote. He didn't want to go play for the New England Patriots because of their quarterback situation. So you have a double-edged sword, Jennifer. Okay. Do you think he should stay with the 49ers, or do you think he's going to go with the Steelers?
I don't know that he's going to go with the Steelers, but I do think he should go. I do think that because he requested the trade, right? So there's something there. Now, he and Coach Wilkes actually got to be really tight last year. I don't know why, because offense, defense, but Coach Wilkes is back in a voluntary position with the Panthers. And I'm just saying, I would love that. But, we kind of have our own quarterback situation going on up here, too. So, I think he's going to go. I don't think it'll be the Steelers, though. I really don't. Mike Tomlin hasn't taken a team to the Super Bowl since the year after he took over the team.
What are your thoughts about him not wanting to go to New England, though?
I think that New England's going to end up starting Drake May. And I think Brandon Aiyuk and Drake May would be freaking magical, but I'm for it. I'm not going there. But, I like Drake May too. So.
It's you. All right, George, what are your thoughts about the brand man?
Well, it's typical of pro football. Camps are underway, and we still got issues with guys holding out, guys wanting to be traded and all that. But Brandon's a good player, 26 years old. He really is a good guy to have around. If it does not work out, and it doesn't sound like it's going to work out at Frisco, I don't see why he can't help out, whether it's New England or another team involved. But it's too bad because, they obviously want to get in the Super Bowl this year. Just like the team they beat in the NFC championship game, the Lions. But San Francisco's got a lot of good parts and a lot of great program. And I just, this is not something that they really wanted to have happen in training camp. Let me tell you that much. But yeah, he's good enough to play on almost every team. We know that. New England would be a cool place, but I don't think it's going to happen either.
Candy.
He can play with Brock Purdy, or he can play with a rookie Drake May, which he's already said he doesn't want to go to New England, or he can go to the Steelers. Let's see, Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, controversy. We don't know who's starting there either. Why? I'm sorry, but why would there obviously is something wrong in San Francisco. Obviously, he doesn't want to be there. He's asked for the trade. But honestly, that is the best spot for him out of those teams. And I've heard that Cleveland is also interested in him as well. But out of those teams, San Francisco still is by far has the best chance to advance. So my question to him is, what are you playing for? Are you playing for your career? Are you playing for Super Bowl? What is your game? Because if your end game isn't the Super Bowl, then sure, go to one of those other teams. Because none of those other teams are going to the Super Bowl this year by far. San Francisco could. Yes, Mr.
Okay.
John?
What about Detroit?
What's that?
What if he went to Detroit? Because Kyle Shanahan don't know how to close. Sorry, played him enough times in the NFC South. Dude don't know how to close. He was the OC when, the most infamous New England comeback came out. So what about Detroit?
The thing is a team has got to want him and want someone that wants out of. There's a reason why he wants out. Like you know what I mean? Like there are some teams that are going to take, how should I say it? The rejects or the problem. Not that he's a reject, but that he's rejecting the team that he's on.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Some teams will go for that. Some teams don't want to go for that. They don't want that because if he wants out of his current situation, which is not a bad situation, would he maybe want out of one of those other situations?
And I don't think Dan Campbell is going to take a guy who is necessarily disgruntled or has a chip on his shoulder that much. I don't think that's going to fit in Detroit, even though they still could use a good receiver, as we know. But I don't think he's a Campbell kind of player. I don't think they would want him.
Well, you know what, George? You just took the words out of my mouth. Okay, whether I have much of a voice or not, I agree with you. I don't think that him and Campbell they could butt heads. But really, I think the best place for him is San Francisco. I really do. Brock Purdy, you've already proven you can win there. I think all he's looking for is a contract extension that he feels is fair market value. And the 49ers have yet to give it to him. As I understand where we're currently at with that situation, they're still in the negotiating part of it. So I have a feeling this situation will get resolved sooner or later. My prediction is he stays in San Francisco. All right, let's move on to the next topic. Former Michigan Wolverine JjMccarthy suffered a torn meniscus. He's done for the season. What's your take on this? I'll lead off with this myself. I thought this should have been a redshirt year for McCarthy, and he's holding a clipboard. It's going to be a redshirt year for all the wrong reasons. So, I feel bad for the Vikings. Forget about what division they're in. You hate to see your number one draft choice go down due to an injury like this, let alone a meniscus problem. But McCarthy will be all right next year, and this will be a redshirt year. Plus the fact that you got Sam Darnold, who now finally has a chance to fit in with a good team. He's been in a tough situation in other spots. Carolina didn't do him any favors, nothing against him at all. And the Jets, well, that was dysfunctional anyway. So I'm not holding those two situations against them. But I'm happy for Sam Darnold that he finally has an opportunity to have a fresh start out in Minnesota. I'll turn it over to Jennifer. You were closer to that situation out in Carolina.
I will agree. Honestly, we were giving the Jets a really good run for their money on how many quarterbacks you could have in a short time period, because we all know the Jets are quarterback purgatory. I'm excited for Sam Darnold. I think he deserves a shot. When he did step in for Brock Purdy last year, he did pretty solid. He's got the talent, but again, with the Panthers, there's been so much dysfunction.
Right.
Our first 5 years were better than our last 5 years. So I feel bad for. I understood why there was a max exodus of players from my team. I do.
Okay, fair enough. Candy?
McCarthy is going to be the first round one quarterback of the common draft era to miss his entire rookie season due to an injury.
What about AR last year?
His rookie season.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson's rookie season was completely missed too. Because he got hurt
preseason. Season, or did he play any snaps?
I thought he played 1 or 2 games, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
Yeah, I thought he only played preseason. I may be wrong. I can't remember.
I think I imagine we'll have this figured out before. I have a feeling he played 1 or 2 games, but he had a shortened season as well. But that's what the predicament that McCarthy's in. Candy, anything else you want to add to that?
I do. So, no, that's okay. So, if you had caught the Chick show earlier, we said that the Jets was quarterback purgatory.
Mhm.
But if you think about it, quarterback injuries devastated the Vikings in 2023 season, forcing them to start 4 different signal callers over the campaign, and they finished with a record of 7-10. Now they play in what inarguably is Sam Darnold's going to have his hands full because they play in a tough division. Let's face it, the Lions, the Packers are improved, and the Bears are improved. I mean, I don't know how far they'll go with Caleb Williams, obviously, but they've got a lot of weapons around him too. So Sam Darnold's going to have his hands full. I'm a Packer fan, and you all know that. I think that rookies should sit their first year and learn. Now, how much is JJ going to learn from Sam Darnold? That remains to be seen, but I do think it's worked in Green Bay to sit your quarterbacks and let them watch, observe, really learn the playbook, really learn how to watch and see how quick, because college football is very different than NFL football. And to be able to read all these schemes and stuff like that, I think sitting on the sideline will help JJ McCarthy, especially, and this is the one, some of you might disagree with this. JJ McCarthy, I don't think is top elite quarterback. I don't think he's a bad quarterback, but I think Michigan really relied on the run. Right. And so I don't know that we saw all of the talent that maybe JJ McCarthy has, but I think for him, because he's not a top on echelon quarterback, that he'll benefit more from sitting a year, I think.
Well, remember one thing, Candy and Jennifer, okay? Kevin O'Connell is the head coach, and we know he's a great offensive mind. All right, George Eichhorn, you'll have final word on this, and then we're going to talk about the Panthers.
Yeah, well, I feel bad for him. Obviously, following his collegiate career, 27-1 as a starter for the Michigan Wolverines, and obviously on last year's championship team. You know, he was looking forward to throwing to guys like Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson and Addison. But I do agree. The fact is that he will be able to observe and learn, like you guys said, hold the clipboard, the saying goes. But I also think that it will be a blow to the Vikings' chances because Darnold, is more of a veteran. But the fact is you don't have a younger, more versatile quarterback coming off the bench like they would have had with a healthy McCarthy. I mean, you know, what you said, Candy, about not being upper echelon. Yeah, I guess. I mean, all these quarterbacks that were drafted, as we know in Detroit at the draft, I mean, on the first round, I mean, a lot of them are question marks to me. You haven't proven anything really in the NFL until you lace it up and play for keeps in the regular season. So it is a blow. I mean, he's very young, though, very raw talent. I do agree. So if anybody can recoup from this, I would think it would be JJ McCarthy.
Yeah, my crack statistician out there confirmed that Anthony Richardson went out there and played a couple of games. So there you go. We try to get it right before the end of the show. and I appreciate the crack statisticians that we have here on the show. Again, I'll reiterate on my point to begin with. That first year should be a redshirt year no matter what. Sometimes coaches get itchy of the feet, let alone quarterback. I want to see what my new toy can do, and I want to see what my new toy can do right away, let alone you have to earn your way on the field and do what you got to do. All right, we're taking this bad boy to Charlotte, North Carolina. The Carolina Panthers have a new coach in Davecanales, formerly of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What are the expectations for 2024, Jennifer?
I would honestly say I could see us going 6-11. I think we'll be like, I don't know. What's important is improvement right now. I'm not worried about playoffs. The improvement I have seen so far is Dan Morgan. Y'all have heard me on this show and on Inside the Pigskin talk about what keep pounding means to me and to the Metro Atlanta area.
Right.
Dan Morgan was in that locker room. He is the Carolina Panthers general manager. He gets a lot of flack because of Federer. People forget David Tepper wasn't really letting Federer do his job. Matt Toole was seriously running the entire program, being signed off by David Tepper. That being said, I think this is great because honestly, Coach Canales and Dan Morgan have been, every time they send out a tweet, every time they do anything, it is hashtag keep pounding. They are bringing it back. I think they finally got it through Mr. Tepper's head. We'll wait to be seen at Panthers games that they bring the back to keep pounding. As for what we're seeing, I'm seeing some good stuff. I'm seeing that there's going to be some shock and awe with who stays and who goes. So, with the Carolina Panthers, because there's some veterans that maybe agreed. Adam. Hi, Adam.
Adam,
Adam.
nice to meet you.
He is a good guy. You guys would love him. But we will, and Adam's right, it's one step at a time. We've got a lot to go with. I've been hearing that Taylor and Icky have been doing a really good job in training camp. So that's good because Bryce does need to be protected. Bryce needs to trust his O-line. And honestly, you guys all read the athletic report last year. Like, as long as we don't have that mess going on, we're good. Like, we'll be okay. We don't need to win the playoffs. We don't need to win the Super Bowl right now. We need positivity. But I think Candy mentioned this on the Chicks and Salsa earlier. But David Tepper does need to lower the cost of concessions. Just saying.
Weren't they talking about? Yeah, wasn't it which stadium? Atlanta. That the owner.
Because doing that, he's going to get more money.
Mm-hmm.
That is funny. It's really funny.
Sorry, I think we'll be okay. What do you guys think?
All right, go ahead. I'll turn it over to George.
I don't know what to think. I mean, the Panthers have had their share of issues the last several years. Bryceyoung, yeah, he's going to need protection. I like the fact that you got two veterans also. Are they both going to make the team? I don't know, Jennifer. Dalton and Plummer as backup quarterbacks, or they're going to go with Bryceyoung? I'm not quite clear about how they're going to split that up. They haven't decided officially yet, right?
Plummer sucked, dude. Sorry.
Well, I know,
like,
but
he's doing and no,
he's
to give him grace, he'd been there for like a week.
Yeah.
Max.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, it's a long road, and you're right. No one expects a whole lot of it. 7 wins would be nice if they could get 7 wins or around that mark this year. But they do have a lot of question marks, and you're right. The offensive line is going to definitely be a key for them. You got one of our old Lions there on the defensive line, A'Shawn Robinson, who had a really good couple of years with Detroit, and I really like him. And he's on the D line for you, the former Detroit Lion. What is he now? Oh gosh, he's 29 years old. Okay, so he's been in the league for a while now. So A'Shawn Robinson. He's got to get some sacks. He's got to really be a leader on that defense. He's a veteran that's been around. So there's going to be a lot of interesting clubs to watch this year. But I definitely think Carolina is going to be one of them. I would like to see good football return to Carolina. I've always admired that state. Always liked the fact that you guys have had some good seasons under your belt. But it's time to really see what Bryceyoung could do and the rest of the cast.
Yeah, I like Andy Dalton as a backup. He's been there everywhere. He's always going to be a stabilizing influence. I wish they could have found a way to have a role for Frank Reich, even as an offensive coordinator or anything. I think he got – I mean, this is my opinion. You're there. But Frank Reich, to me, obviously, they wanted a fresh start. Dave Canales, obviously, is young and did a good job with the Buccaneers. But that's just one person's opinion. It's hard to bring in a coach all of a sudden to get rid of him after 8, 9, 10 games.
Right. And that's the thing. Like Frank Reich. Okay. So several things went into play here. I officially do not know anything. This is all supposition. But I think that Tepper went with Reich, A, to make him a scapegoat, Well, actually, because he was the Panthers' first starting quarterback. Because he did state during his search for a head coach, he wanted an offensive-minded head coach. That's why he didn't go with Steve Wilkes. He should have gone with Steve Wilkes. I think he thought taking Frank Reich and making him the head coach would be a good replacement for the sentimental value that we all have for Coach Wilkes here in the Carolinas. But no, because honestly, like Frank, yeah, he raised his kids here. Like they lived here in the offseason. He had an apartment wherever he was playing or coaching, but his wife and kids were here in Charlotte. And what David Tepper did to him was atrocious.
Yeah, it was.
That's what I'm saying. No, like honestly, Frank Reich deserves more than what happened to him because he's by all accounts, he's one of the more pious coaches out there. Like not being a Bible thumper, but very pious. He's a good dude, and he was like.
Well, I hope he's getting paid good money.
What happened to him was ugly.
Hope he's getting good money for that parting gift there. All right, Turbo Jedum. Good evening too. Yeah, you're gonna get if you're gonna get kicked out the wrong way, at least you might as well get paid good to do it. We dealt with that with Monty Williams earlier with the Detroit Pistons, although he deserved what he ended up getting. Some closing thoughts on this. You know, hey, listen, Cam Newton was there. They did really well. And Ronrivera, I think that was the biggest mistake ever letting him go. But Candy, some thoughts.
So if you read at all today, Carolina Panthers quarterback Bryceyoung tried and failed a few times this morning as he tossed some interceptions during Wednesday's session of training camp in what may have been his worst outing of the summer thus far. The second-year passer mistakenly found the hands of defensive lineman Shai Tuttle and cornerback Troy Hill for a couple of picks. In fact, one was a pick 6. So here's my take. This is preseason. This is practice. If you're going to throw picks, throw them now and learn from them. The coach's job is to coach them now and have them watch film and say, what did you do wrong? Figure it out and correct it.
Right.
That's why you have preseason. That's why you have practice.
Right.
Exactly. I agree. That's exactly the way they should approach this.
And I'm going to ask the panel here. What quarterback in the league wouldn't do better if they had a better offensive line? Every quarterback would. Every quarterback benefits from a better offensive line. And yet, and I'm not going to say that because there's an argument that everybody needs to be paid more except for the quarterbacks because the quarterback salaries are ridiculous. But let's face it, the offensive line helps the quarterback. It helps a receiver because it gives time for the quarterback to throw. It also, as Mel Farr would say, helps the running back because it puts opens holes for him. So I think a lot of teams need to really look at their offensive line and question them and really coach your offensive line. What is your job? What is your role in this scheme? And don't get me wrong, because the defensive side is going to be the same. They're all going to look at how can we better defend. We have to remember they're pros on both sides of the ball. Yes, we root for one of the teams, but both teams are getting paid, and both of them are trying. Now, it'll be interesting to see because Carolina actually has joint practices with none other, Jen, than your favorite New York Jets.
Oh, I know.
All right, let's go to the chat room real quick. I like D. Lowe's, okay, as an Allen Iverson reference. We're talking about practice. All right, Allen Iverson, welcome to the big show. All right, quarterbacks are always the most popular guys at school. Yeah, I guess if they're wearing the jock jackets, they probably are. And the fact they're getting paid a boatload of money. Good stuff, D. Lowe's, on both ends of those. So as far as I'm concerned, I think that the Carolina Panthers really only have one way to go anyways, and that's up. So give Davecanales a 5-year deal and hope he can get through 3 or 4 years, and then maybe they have a puncher's chance of being relevant again. Final topic of the night, okay? And I know Jennifer has been kind enough to give us part of her evening after Chicks and Salsa, but we're going to get this last one done. The biggest takeaways from week 1 of the preseason. All right, Jen, go ahead.
I mean, it's preseason. Like, okay, for me, the biggest takeaway is I'm really glad we didn't play any of our starters against New England. But I will also say, it sucks that JJ. The biggest takeaway is probably JJ getting hurt. Now I know that was in practice, but still, I mean, a meniscus. I tore my meniscus a couple of years ago. It's not fun. I don't know. It's preseason. Preseason is a time for these guys to go out there and ball out when they're gonna get cut from their current team. For other teams to look at them and be like, okay, we can fit him into this puzzle piece. And I think that's the most important part of preseason. That's just me.
Okay. Candy? And by the way, Adam Lamari's on a roll. Hey, Adam, if you get a chance, will you kindly do us a favor and please subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel because we do run Chicks and Salsa on there as well, and you'll have a chance to see some of these other shows. If you would subscribe to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, much appreciated. All right, Candy, go ahead. Biggest takeaways.
So the biggest takeaway is preseason is exactly that, the preseason. And it's really hard to judge how a team is going to do because let's face it, they're putting their second or third string players in because they're trying to figure out who's going to make their team. And they're playing against who knows if it's second or third string players as well. My biggest takeaway is for all of those on the bubble, play your hearts out because you're playing for a job. Play your hearts out.
Yep.
Okay, George.
Well, yeah, it's something that, you don't want to talk about, but it is the elephant in the room, and that is injury. And the injuries pile up. It seems like every preseason, JJMcCarthy is just the latest. The Hooker was in at quarterback for the Lions against the Giants, and he suffered a slight concussion. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And I do understand why the teams don't want to play their regulars, but this is totally different than it used to be, where at least one game you would have the starters in there, or one or two series. And now we've seen that the pendulum has swung all the way over to the other way. And if Rodgers still wants to get that 18-game schedule, which I really don't want, instead of 17 games, then another preseason game, of course, will be sacrificed, but so will a lot of players' bodies and their durability to add another game to the schedule. And I know it's not this preseason, but you asked for my opinion. I'll say, Scott, my first inclination is always take a look at the injury list and who got hurt the most. And obviously the Minnesota Vikings got hurt the most so far this preseason.
Yeah. Hendon Hooker, obviously, the Lions are counting on him down the road. And of course, let's not forget 1979, how many of these people were born here, when Garydanielson suffered that injury in the final preseason game against the Baltimore Colts. And Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. All he has to do is figure out what the word immunize means. And if he can do that, God help anybody. I don't care what Aaron Rodgers says, because what Aaron Rodgers says doesn't mean diddly. My biggest takeaway from the whole thing really is the fact that Stevemcmichael got into the Hall of Fame and he was alive to do it at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We should all go ahead. I don't care if you call that week one. I call it week one because Stevemcmichael is a Hall of Famer and he's alive to do it. And I'm really happy with his wife, Misty McMichael, who was able to enjoy the ceremonies and the fact that they took the bus and the jacket over to his home. God bless to Stevemcmichael. All right. As we approach the 30-minute mark, Jen, we have 1 or 2 minutes to go. I can't talk any faster than I am, but I love talking fast. I like doing things fast.
I know it wasn't a challenge. I don't have to do it.
Yeah, I'm telling you, don't believe me. Look at Candy. She needs a tablet every time she rides with me. Oh, I need a tablet. Maybe, except when she has to drive because I'm not able to do it for whatever.
Candy, I'll give you trazodone next time, all right? You can take it yourself or give it to Scott.
I got a different vehicle here. This is called a Motor City Mad Mouth retirement vehicle. So I'll probably be a little bit lighter on the gas, especially in Georgia. So with that said, as we get ready to wrap up the Sports Exchange, Jennifer, why don't you let everybody know how they can get a hold of you?
Sure. Check us out on Tuesday nights, usually Tuesday nights at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. You can find me on Reddit at Jenna Cheryl. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and X at Jenna Cheryl, the professional fan.
I also want to go back to the chat room. Adam Lemeride, yeah, Caleb Williams looked impressive against the Bills. That's why the Bears going to be better with Caleb Williams. So thanks for putting that in there, George. Let everybody know they get hold of you.
Yeah, you can find me. I write up for the South Florida Tribune under the Motor City Tribune banner, where you'll find my columns. I also write locally for the Detroit Monitor. Oh, yeah, at the end of those columns is a little link there to that book that Candy's pointing to up there in the corner. We got a couple of authors here on this podcast right now, myself and Scott. And it's a great book called Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air. Scott's in the book. I'm in the book. But more importantly, Ernie Harwell and George Kell and Ray Lane and Bob Ufer and Frank Beckman. The list goes on and on. Detroit's been blessed with so many great announcers. And you can reach me at gicorn@yahoo.com and on X at SanGSports99. Find me on LinkedIn, and you can also find me on Facebook as well under my name. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. D-Lowe's, MCMM, cruising in retirement, 45 years in the business extra career. It's not far from my mind at some point or another, whether it's full-time or part-time. That's something I'm thinking about. We'll just see how the access goes. Candy, take us home here with not only the station break, but the end of the show.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book last November. It is called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by none other than your host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. And the foreword was written by none other than George. I got to come up with a good name for you, George. George Eichhorn.
No, GE, General Electric Eichhorn.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Things come to life. So you can find this book on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Apple, or Google Books. Get your copy today. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where you can go buy this book. You can go to our merchandise store. You need a new hat, like George's hat, or you need a sweatshirt or a tank top. Go buy one of ours. The South Florida Tribune has their own merchandise link on our page. Or if you really like Motor City Madmouth, you could get that merchandise as well. It's on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. If you see that red subscribe button, hit it, like us, share us. Tell all your friends all about us. You also, if you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. iHeartRadio, Google, Apple, Spotify, Deezer, you name it, we're there. Our Twitter handle at Tribune South. Monday nights here on our South Florida YouTube channel, we talk hockey on Fire Up Florida. We talk baseball on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Tuesday nights, Inside the Pigskin, talking all kinds of football. Wednesday nights is Sports Exchange. You never know what we're talking about. Anything goes. And tomorrow night, Thursday night, is Fire Up. You never know what we're going to be talking about there either. Preceding tonight's episode of Sports Exchange on nofilter.net, Scott and George did a one-on-one interview talking about Detroit sports tonight. Go check out all of his previous interviews, though. Tuesday nights, you can also find me with Miss Jen on either Three Chicks or Chicks and Salsa. It's just us chicks talking sports. Mm-hmm. Normally a lot about women and women in sports, but we talk all the sports. So come join us. Tuesday nights, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Scott, anything did I forget? Oh, if you're going to want to sponsor a show or you want to advertise, you can call Scott 954-304-4941. And if I forgot anything, it's on the bottom. Subscribe, like, share our broadcast, but go see everybody that's on our station. They all give us their support by being on our shows. Go support them as well.
Well, let me tell you one thing about that. Jennifer and Candy, Megan Price, and Carrie Johnson, they do a remarkable job. These aren't just normal chicks talking sports. They're way above normal. their intelligence and IQ to me is unbelievable. So if you're looking to have a very informative show that gets to a lot of the main events, headline, trending stories, you won't find 4 individuals better than they are to be able to go out there and pass on the messages they do. They do an unbelievable job. And I'm thankful for every one of them for being in the system and working very, very well as a team to do it. So with that said, this concludes this edition of the Sports Exchange. I want to say Motor City Madmouth Show, but we did that earlier so I could get louder and lose my voice. Who cares? I won't have to use it much later anyway, so it is what it is. So on behalf of Candy, Jennifer, the best pinch hitter on the planet, Lewis, and George Eichhorn, who I've been dealing with for 45 years and counting, no matter how many times he drives me crazy, he's still with me anyways. Where I go, he goes, Batman, Robin, Chippendale, who cares? But don't call him Beavis and Butthead. Okay. So
Okay, Beavis.
Yeah, don't do that, please.
No.
Don't do that.
We're not Abbott and Costello either.
No. I don't know.
Who's on first? What's on second?
I don't know if I keep eating bad, I'll be Abbott, but I'm just teasing you. No, I'm actually trying to lose a little bit on the LBS bomb. So once again, on behalf of Scott, Motor City Madmouth, Candy, Jen, and George, General Electric.
Thank you guys for having me.
We want to thank you very much for being on the Sports Exchange. Until next week, have a great week, and we'll catch you the next time. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you,
Good night.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.